Are we talking too much politics or too little? It's always a question I ask myself when we think about what should we talk about in polite society. Oftentimes people are told, don't talk about politics or religion. I guess people want to not have to disagree with each other. However, I disagree with this practice, and I'll tell you why. You don't have to agree with me on this, but let me just try to make that point. When we get together with others, we all are aware that we have thoughts about politics. If we feel we can't share these thoughts, that is already a sign of distrust towards others. You could say it's a sign of respect if we know they disagree, but I don't believe in treating people like children. I teach at a university. I've been teaching for many years. I'm aware that not everybody agrees with me. I've had to learn that there are some people who are very upfront with their politics. But that's not what I mean. I hope, or at least I'm doing what I can, to not teach in a way that puts my politics out there immediately. So by saying it like that, we already have two definitions of politics here. When I say my politics, your politics, or someone else's politics, this is the kind of idea I believe that people have about politics when they think, I have my preferences, I vote for that person, I vote for that party, and I will never consider any other party, or I only vote on those issues if those issues are presented, and stuff like that. So that's the politics of personal preferences. That's your political opinion. What I'm talking about is to talk politics more generally, to talk about that which is political, about that which pertains to all of us. If we narrow our understanding of politics to mere party preferences, or I don't like this guy, I don't like that guy, or whatever, that's not really politics. That's maybe on the level of favorite sports team, favorite television show, stuff like that. There's personal preferences. That's not political. That's almost depolitical or unpolitical. Because we're not talking about issues. We're not talking about big questions. We're not asking ourselves how our society should look like. You see, we're in this predicament that we're in right now, I believe, where no one can talk to each other, and people keep voting for people that many people don't understand. Why could you vote for them? No matter which side you're on, people are regularly horrified at choices people make politically. But that's because we are avoiding the issues. That's because we are opening the political space only to those who are doing this professionally. Politicians, journalists, lobbyists, and all those kinds of people or groups of people. That's fine. But we are forgetting that we ourselves, as citizens, or at least as concerned residents, or wherever you are, which status, whatever you have, but as people living in a society who need to have an interest in how the society should be functioning, how the society should be working. And so when we conceive of politics as how do we together solve problems, how do we exert our responsibility, whether as citizens or non-citizens, to make the world a better place, then that's a completely different thing. That is a level of politics that comes closer to what actually being political means. It means to care about the world. It means to build coalitions with people. It means to actually address problems. It means to see yourself as an actor, as an agent, as someone that can do things. And even if it's just talking with each other, even if it's just building coalitions, even if it's just helping people to think through certain issues. And so we may ask ourselves, what are the things that we can agree on that are not going right? How might we address it? And then we may find out that we actually care about the same kinds of issues, but maybe our difference is in approach. Maybe our difference that we have with each other is in how we solve the problem. Now, because just because we agree there's a problem doesn't mean we know how to solve it. And the conflicts that we see politically have to do with how to solve these problems. Some also have to do with not being able to see the problem or not wanting to see the problem because it's too big or because it doesn't fit in your ideological agenda. But what I'm saying when I say we need to talk politics more is basically we need to talk about society more. We need to talk about how we live together. And we need to figure out how to stay in that conversation respectfully as fellow human beings. And so when you think about how you relate to each other, if we don't talk about what concerns us, if we don't listen to others, what concerns them, then we get into this polarized position where we expect only the worst of each other, where we don't understand why people vote a certain way, where we demonize these choices, and where we depoliticize them, because then we are thinking of people who disagree with us basically as bad people, and us, of course, as good people, because we always want to think of ourselves as good people. But with some exceptions, categories like good and evil don't really fit in politics that well. Most cases, politics means compromising, making a bad choice to not have to make a worse choice, because resources are limited, time is limited. And one more word about politicians. Most politicians would have a much nicer life if they wouldn't do politics. So maybe we should, especially if we refuse to do the work, respect their work a little bit more. Anybody who does public service does the public a service, especially when the public seems to be disinterested. Okay, so in conclusion, talk to each other, love each other, respect each other, try to get involved, and see politics as something that is relevant to us all, not just to a few. And to those who do politics, don't make their life even worse than it already is. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Philip Kneist. This is Erratic Attempts, and see you soon.